out trading during the 2009 recovery. So it was like the 2008 financial crash, and then the 2009 like Occupy Wall Street, all that.
Mm.
And it's okay if I cuss.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
That's
that's fine.
fine.
It's fine. Okay, it's a very cussy business.
Yes, it is.
So during that time, it was like the most volatile period up to that point in history. You froze. I'm not sure if that is. Are you
Oh,
still there?
I am. I'm not sure
Okay, yeah,
why it's
it's
frozen,
fine.
to be
So
honest.
it's just your picture. So
Maybe I'll
I
turn
started.
it off because then it will just be
Okay,
easier, I think.
so I started trading the ES futures around that time. And if you know anything about the ES futures, they're a highly leveraged instrument.
Yeah.
For every like 1 point, it's $50. Like 1 point on the S&P 500 index, you get $50 per contract.
Mm.
So this is not the minis. This was well, it is the minis, but it's not the micro, I should say.
Yeah.
And when I first started trading the ES, it was going good, but then there's just one day where the ES was trading like 180 points or something ridiculous within minutes, and that is it's hard to really put into words how crazy that volatility is. You can turn.
Mm.
Let's put it this way: I had about 10 grand in it. That 10 grand evaporated in a couple of seconds.
Wow.
And then within a few minutes, if I had had just a little more capital in there, I would have been up closer to six figures.
Oof.
So, we're talking about just massive swings within
Yeah.
a short amount of time. And then after
So
that, I took some time for self-reflection. I went to just be with nature for a bit, and then
yeah.
really try to come back and reassess the situation, what I did wrong, how to prevent getting cashed out like that. So that was kind of my beginning into trading. As I got like older, I started being more like relaxed, passive kind of trading. So swing trading as opposed to day trading, scalping. Um, I would, kind of buy like leaps, or just shares, stuff like that.
Mm.
Excuse me. In the past 2 years, I've been getting involved into crypto. Um, so
Okay.
that's kind of where we are today. Now, back in 2008, there was this guy called Lakai that I met, and he was doing well. First, I started off on day trading Rockstar. It's like this it's like a chat room slash broadcast where they talk about trades and stuff like that, and he does
Okay.
stocks. So it was like the first community I joined, you know.
Mm.
And then after that, I saw a guy called Lakai who was doing Trade It, Don't Date It.
That's a good
Um,
name.
yeah, and he was doing live trades on the ES, and I like you'd broadcast, and I saw him. Like I know he started less, but when I joined, he was probably around 50K, and I saw him trade that up to multiple millions. Like
Really?
there were some days he would
Wow.
trade and he would like pull 1 million a day, just like 1 million, 1 million, 2 million,
So what was
three
the
and a half
risk?
million.
Like, how much was he risking kind of per trade in
I
terms
mean,
of
he
percentages?
doesn't use stop losses, so it was kind of like, I mean, I would say the most. I mean, I would say during that time, the most heat he would take would be like 500,000.
Right.
As
Wow.
during this recent like COVID era, the most heat I've seen him take is closer to 4.5 million or something like that.
So he still currently trades.
Yeah, any sort of high volatility day, like
Okay.
the most recent drop in the markets, he was trading then.
Ah. Okay. And
So
so,
basically you wait patiently for high volatility events and you capitalize on those. If there's not,
okay.
like you can tell there's fear,
Mm.
and so if you don't, like if you're not, like if there's not that time, you kind of don't want really to be involved in the market, right? If you're not buying at like extreme lows to invest long term, or if
Mm.
you're not swing or day trading those extreme volatility events, you shouldn't be in the market. You should be in some other instrument, I feel.
In terms of like the mentality of investing.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about somebody like Lakai versus somebody like hedge fund
Yeah.
or Goldman Sachs quant or something like that.
Yeah.
Lakai blows them out of the water. There's no amount
Right.
of money that they could pay him that would be
Mm.
worth his time to do what he does, because it's really just a psychological thing. You can't teach a computer to taste fear. You just know it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm absolutely terrible at kind of seeing that kind of stuff. I don't think I've been trading long enough. Um, so I've been trading around 5 years.
But but
Um,
but that's just it. You are. People don't realize that. So
mm,
everyone knows what fear is when they see it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
What's going on now that's got people afraid?
I mean, the whole market was collapsing not that long ago.
Yeah, but
Uh,
why is it collapsing? What's the fear?
um, I guess there's multiple things, isn't it? It's like the Fed, Corona. There's multiple things that are going on all at the same time.
Right. So what about the Ukraine conflict?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, some of these are pony shows, if I can be frank. Some of these are literally, to some extent, fabricated distractions to pump up military spending. Some of them are just, like dangling the keys so that people don't see what's going on around them.
Mm.
And some of it is just to intentionally create volatility events. Because when volatility dries up, I guarantee you, every power group in the world is frustrated. They're bored out of their minds. Volatility creates a potential for profit. No volatility means no profit. So
Mm.
it doesn't matter if you have to call a news organization and tell them to stir something up or whatever, right? It needs to
Right,
be
right,
done,
right.
right? The financial system moves upon these things. Like, you can't have stagnation. So you
Yeah.
just got to be what you need. So you fear, or maybe I'm so deep into it I know it better. But I feel like everybody knows fear. They know it because they feel it.
They
When
know it,
Corona
but
when Corona
there's
first hit, there
go
was
on.
fear,
Yeah.
right? People were scared out of their minds.
But then
And
how are you
that's,
actually applying that to the markets?
well, for coronavirus is a little bit different because I had a background in genetics, and I knew, for starters,
Really?
I knew that China was a lying piece of shit. Second of all, I know how viruses work and how viruses mutate, and I know how governments like to cover things up. And I knew, and all my genetic friends knew, that that virus is going to be big. China should have been locked down from every country immediately, right? That
Mm.
if you ask somebody who does research in that field, they would tell you that was the first thing everyone should have done immediately, is lock down all access to China. But that didn't happen, obviously.
Mm.
Uh, the CDC and the World Health Organization believed the numbers coming out of China, even though
Yeah,
anyone could look at
that's
the
yeah.
data and realize that the infection rate was much, much higher. And that if you extrapolate the data curves, we're talking about extremely contagious and higher than normal lethality event. Um, and it was just consistently one error after another error from every health organization on the globe. And during that time, the market was topping out, but it hadn't fallen. And that was when I started selling off every single all of my assets, complete
Right.
cash.
And are you back
So
in now or
catching the bottom is a bit harder,
yeah.
right? Because as so I could sense the fear, and as the fear goes down, I shorted, right? I shorted and I bought, short a little more, bought.
Mm.
But then I start feeling afraid, right? Because it's a contagious thing, right? It infects your logical mind, and you start feeling afraid. Like, is this it? Is this the end? All right, we have boys in Goldman Sachs. They were giving out floors. Floor busted. Next floor. That floor is busted. Goldman Sachs can't even figure out the floor. So now it's like starts feeling like doomsday to everyone, even
Yeah.
even the top, like the top industry. And when that happens, it's like couldn't buy. Even
Mm.
though I knew in my head that they're going to bail out that there was going to be a bailout, and there was. I went long. There was a bailout. The market went up, I want to say 90 points within a second, and then dropped down within 2 seconds back. Like, again, humongous swings we're talking about. I don't think
Yeah.
people can fathom 90 points within seconds. These are enough to cash out, six figure accounts and evaporate them like that. Like,
Mm.
so, and when it went down, I got out relatively flat, I think, because I was like, wow, even a bailout is not going to save this thing. But
Mm.
it eventually did. It started slowly creeping back up. Um, that was a little hard to predict, like the change in um, as we continued on in our daily lives. Everyone went home. They started using media services more.
Yeah.
They started pumping all that money to certain meme stocks and all that kind of stuff. Uh, so I should also say, I don't know if you saw in the thing that I've been involved in Wallstreetbets for like
Yeah.
5 or 6 years. And that's when we really saw our largest number growth was during that period. And we had taken it when I joined. I think we had about 10,000 ish,
Yeah.
and then we ended up slowly creeping up, and then up to like 11 million. I want to say we were doing pretty good. We were like in the low million and a half before, and then it just went crazy after that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about that Wall Street um, bets and obviously GameStop. Were you kind of involved in that? And can you give me like a little bit of behind the scenes on
Sure.
how that all happened? And yeah.
So there are a lot of interesting points and so during this time we were kind of given a gag order because starters we were just so busy dealing with everything. Second of all, I don't know, it was just a complicated time, and there's a lot of heavy politics involved, both intra Wall Street bets and around us, like into entities around us. So
Right.
for starters, I guess let's just talk about like the culture leading up to around that. So before that big large event, I remember we were making all these different memes. Like that's kind of like just what we were doing. And I remember when Robinhood's service was going down, and like this was before they removed the buy button, which
Mm. Yeah.
you heard about. Okay,
Yeah.
so even before that, like their services would go down, and we would make these memes, and that's kind of where you got the diamond hands meme today. Is that like I remember I was making the meme with like I'm not fucking selling, or then I changed it to I can't fucking sell because the brokerage is shut down, right? Like
Yeah.
that's how diamond hands happened. Like you like if paper hands is the weakest where you sell, diamond hands is you literally cannot sell, right? You can't
Mm.
sell because the brokerage because Robinhood is down,
Yeah.
right? So that's where diamond hands originated from.
Okay.
And then the other one, apes together strong, that was because we would all play like video games and stuff together,
Mm.
um, is something we would say when we like would pwn some news or whatever.
Yeah.
We'd make like ape sounds like or apes together strong, just whatever, just goofing on people.
Yeah.
And when the GME thing went down, um, we got like a flood of people coming to the Discord, and I thought these were like OG Wall Street Bet people. I didn't really know any better,
Right.
and so I would just say, contact your congressman, blah 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 blah, apes together strong, and because we had to give out roles for people to speak because it was just
Mm.
too many people and they were just spamming chat, right? So we had to like make it so only those with roles could speak, and people were like, hey, how can I speak? And they would always give me like these inspirational messages, and so I kind of like tried to make it kind of like a movement,
Mm.
and that's kind of, but it got away from me, obviously. So I didn't realize that these were a bunch of new people. I should have realized it, and they kind of took it and made their own thing, and that's how we got to
Right.
the ape culture today. The ape culture was like an inadvertent Frankenstein's monster
Yeah.
that got away from us, and
Yeah. Got
some
out of hand.
some apes, if you know what I mean by when I say apes, right? Ape in, ape emojis, ape this, ape that,
Mm.
5 million ape NFTs, just
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, So some OG Wall Street bets are part of the ape. Like there is overlap, right, between OG Wall Street bets and ape culture.
Right.
But there's also a group of apes that are just they do not play well with OG Wall Street bets and vice versa because Wall Street bets is about making money and not being married to any particular stock.
Right. Right.
Right. So it's just about money. Whereas super stonks or the ape culture is more about a revolution.
Mm.
Right. More about like trying to fight back against hedge
Yeah.
funds,
Yeah.
which that part I can kind of admire and back like there is a lot
So
of
the actual
shenanigans.
idea of the whole kind of GME thing that wasn't intended to be the fight against the funds, or
No,
was
oh
it?
well, no, not at
It was
all.
just a
Okay, so
money play,
it
right?
started with DFE doing a money play like
Right.
every
Right.
other countless times in Wall Street bets,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, but what happened was really they tried to like, I mean, obviously it was a good play in and of
Yeah.
itself, but when they pushed down upon the people, they didn't realize the hornet's nest that they hit.
Mm.
And yeah, and like someone like me revels in that kind of tinderbox, right?
Yeah.
And I can't help myself but to throw gasoline and matches everywhere and just watch it all burn into flames, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was just supposed to be another play, but when they
Mm.
removed the buy button, holy
Right.
shit, did
Right.
I
Right.
get
Right.
pissed.
Yeah.
And then simultaneously, I shit you not, they had people at Discord shut down the Wall Street Bet server.
Really?
We're talking collusion between social media group companies
Yeah.
and hedge funds
Wow.
and to some extent political organizations all coming down upon us over this one stock. If they had not done that, it would have not have blown up to what it is.
Mm.
Because, while I think some of the ape culture is cringe, they, I mean, they are right to an extent, right? They came after us,
Yeah.
not just the apes, OG Wall Street bets. They came after all of us because they made a boo boo. They
Yeah.
didn't want to pay for it. And so they called their friends to
Well,
shut
no,
us
they
down.
didn't even think that they could be called out for it and, you know, made
Right.
accountable.
And they had this too big to fail mentality where they
Yeah.
couldn't have like the clearinghouse involved. It just wasn't accepted that that could come to an halt.
Yeah.
It was like we need to do anything possible to stop this. Now, the excuses that they give, the Robin gives about removing the buy button is erroneous because if it's a cash account, that's your cash. You pay for the stocks. If you could remove margin buying, right? If you don't
Mm.
have enough liquidity to, or cash to cover that, that's absolutely makes sense, right? But if we're just talking about John wants to sell 2 shares,
Yeah.
Billy wants to buy 2 shares, that's it's an exchange, right?
Yeah.
It's not for you. It's not for you to interrupt a true exchange. Otherwise, it's not a true exchange.
Mm. Do you
Um,
think, I don't know why, but that's just kind of made me think, do you reckon it's not that far away that we're going to be having the stock market fully on blockchain so that you can't tamper with it and you can't do that kind of stuff?
well, it's supposed to be untamperable. However, Robinhood's
Mm.
scenario is a bit different because they're not. Um, you're not really trading. You're trading like they're kind of like a middleman to the true exchange.
Yeah.
So to some degrees, they did sell off their rights for that to happen, but there should have been no reason for that to happen, right?
Mm.
Um, because if you want to buy a stock and there are sellers and it's a true exchange, like you can't really prohibit that transaction, right? You
Mm.
can't interrupt that, right? That is uh that is shenanigans. You see it in CFD trading, in like the EU UK area.
Mm.
You see it in sports betting because it's disingenuous, right? It is shady tactics.
Yeah.
That's not supposed to happen on a true exchange. And not only did they do that, but they got their friends to shut down
Yeah.
uh, social media groups that the traders were talking on so that they couldn't communicate with one another.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as far as
That's
like to go back to your question, which I ignored, uh,
that's
as
fine.
far as like it being on a blockchain,
Yeah.
there is a long way to go before that to happen,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
we're I'm trying to make that happen, right?
Oh,
We got some we got some interesting things coming up. Um,
okay.
Reddit and Wallstreetbets and a lot of large companies are getting to blockchain and
Yeah.
crypto and NFTs, and I think at the moment they have such a poor. I think partially intentionally that now this is just me putting on a tinfoil hat. This is me getting a little Alex Jones here,
Yeah.
but I think that NFTs and crypto have been intentionally um, funneled with horse shit, like to damage their image and reputation. Not that some of it is not genuinely people trying to scam people, because I
Right.
see it a lot from a moderator side, right? And I talk with marketers all the time, and I know when they're trying to shill horse shit, right?
Hmm.
Pretty much if they have a telegram, I'm like rug pull, right? Uh, and I don't know. It's just how many are either so out of touch or so obviously lying to my face.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
but
I think NFTs are going to be absolutely huge.
they will be
Yeah.
absolutely, and I'm trying to. That's what I want to do. If I could have any legacy that I leave in this world, it would be that I help legitimize. And I hate it because it's a buzzword now. I'm just like anti cliche, and I'm kind of
Yeah.
like a goth. I'm like, oh, everyone likes it now. I don't like it
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like decentralized finance,
I
right?
think that a
I
lot of
want to
people only
legitimize it.
see it as not just DeFi, but NFTs and crypto. Just see it as a way to make money, or they just see it as like a picture for NFTs. Whereas like NFTs can be so much more, like so much
Absolutely.
more.
People don't realize we could control the entire or most a large chunk of the investment and banking industry.
Yeah,
Think about
even more than
401ks.
that.
Think about annuities and life insurance policies, and
Yeah,
the list can go on and on. All that is in the hands of a few people.
yeah,
And for once, it's your money. Now it could be in your hands, right? And all those billions of dollars that they rack up to do their shell games will instead be distributed among you. Now, I think it is inexorable, but they will kick and scream every inch of the way. They will use every political dirty trick. They they own both parties. I think you're what, British or whatever,
yeah.
right? Okay, I'm not sure. I think you got three parties, right?
I mean, they
But
seem to be getting more every single year, but
right, all right, they own them all.
yeah,
Every one of them is bought. Well, not every one single person, but I'm talking about the majority, right? The people who matter in the team are bought and paid for.
yeah,
So
yeah.
they're going to be using that to their leverage advantage when it matters. They're not going to come down on every little small rebellion, but when
Mm,
it actually does matter, they will squash it, right?
mm.
And they're already attempting to do that, but they don't understand that they can't until they start just like straight up putting people in gulags or executing people who participate in crypto.
Yeah,
They're not going to be able to control that, and they can't do that because they know that would actually cause social unrest in
yeah,
excess of the price worth to doing it. So it's going to happen, but leaders in the industry, including um, members of Wall Street Bets, like the fellow moderators,
mm.
need to understand that we have this responsibility. Like we have been blessed to be put into this situation. I'm not to say that we're like fucking leaders. I shouldn't use that word, right? We're not
Gods.
we like it's really about the community,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But we are in a position where we have to make sure that those participants in Wall Street Bets, the users are not disenfranchised. That like we can do something, right? And it is up to us to help undo the delegitimizing practices of the powers that don't like decentralized finance, NFTs, and crypto.
yeah.
There's a what's the saying that a lie can travel faster than the truth, or
Mm.
something
Yeah,
to that
yeah,
effect.
yeah,
The truth needs help, and it is, I think, everyone's duty who are in a position to help that. And it's the same thing for this, decentralized finance, crypto, NFTs. They're going to need help by people who are in positions to do that. And again, I don't want to call us leaders after the whole uh the you probably don't know it, like the dog walking debacle that was on Reddit. What was it?
No.
The anti-work community. That was a big one. But it doesn't matter what you want to call us. It's just we're just people in positions that can help bring about this change, and we should, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I 100% agree. Um, I think it was. I know we're going back a little bit in the conversation, but I think the whole GME thing was just like a massive win for the underdog and the small guy. Um,
For a lot of people, yeah. For some people, they're bag holding, but
yeah.
we will. I don't think the show's over.
Okay. So what's coming up in the show then? Is there anything that you can reveal?
Well, like I said, there's obviously going to be a lot more change as far as like big companies adopting NFT crypto. Now that'll have a double-edged sword. One, it'll legitimize crypto and NFTs, but on the counter side, it'll make it more centralized,
Mm,
right? Kind of like the internet. Um, like when the internet first came out, it was like the wild, wild west, and it was great, right? But
mm.
then it wasn't like seen as like this serious thing for a while until big companies started to adopt it. But then it
Right.
became controlled, and centralized and sterilized, and only approved messages of the glorious leader are allowed.
Yeah.
It became very controlled. And that to me, that sort of authoritarian control is certainly something that I fear. And that's kind of like what clicked in my head and made me realize that we need to adopt NFTs and crypto as like Wall Street bets, and that we needed to push to push for that as being more accepted.
Mm. So when did you actually get involved in Wall Street Bets? Like, how did you get involved?
So I think the best way to get involved in any community is you just go in there and you start helping people, being useful. Like,
Mm.
um, if someone was like doing something that's bannable, I'd let moderators know. I was teaching people what I knew about trading, based
Right,
upon what I
right.
learned from Lakai. Really just trying to help people selflessly as much as possible.
So
Um,
actually, let's go on to teaching people then how to trade. So what did you learn from that trader?
all right, so I would say that technically I don't know what works, but I do know, or like something might work, but I think it doesn't, but just because I didn't use it right, right? So
Right,
I can't
right.
speak to that. The only thing I know is what does work,
Mm.
and that is uh, s- support and resistance, also known as supply and demand, right?
Right.
And patterns, usually, and multiple time frame analysis. So usually you want to combine those three, and you'll be good. That's all you need. The rest is psychological.
Okay.
Everything else. Like, in fact, you could literally just say, if you once you start understanding that candlesticks, price patterns, and support and resistance are like the same thing until you are able to visualize that and understand what I mean by that statement. Like, you're going to struggle on the technical side. Okay.
Right.
They manifest in the same way. They're just right. I would say
Yeah, yeah,
patterns
yeah.
and support and resistance are two sides of the same coin. Within patterns, you'll have support and resistance that makes the pattern play as it does, and then as you zoom in and zoom out, you'll see it's all like the same phenomenon occurring.
Mm.
And candlesticks are literally just patterns or support resistance playing out, like if you zoom in on it. So that's just the technical side. Everything else is psychological. 9 times out of 10, you either FOMO, like you're just scared. That's usually what it is. You're scared. You're scared of missing out, or you're scared of taking a loss, and you just sit there like a deer in the headlights while your account goes to zero.
Yeah.
Like you can't admit that you're wrong. Just
And how can traders combat that fear, both of missing out and also um,
well,
just general?
you can. A lot of it is self discipline increasing your own self-discipline in your daily life, right?
Mm.
That can be anything from routines, going to the gym, eating right, whatever.
Yeah.
You can have a vice, and that vice is to help like increase your willpower, so to speak, because you have like a bucket of willpower, and you expend that bucket when you have to practice discipline. So yeah, some people have a vice that they partake of to help refill that willpower bucket.
Mm.
I know Lakai smokes, whatever. I don't agree with smoking, but I think he would say it's an integral part of his trading regime. He he said once he cannot imagine trading without smoking.
Really?
Yeah,
Do you know why? Because that's
because it's
interesting to
stressful
me.
as fuck, right?
Right.
Like we're
Okay.
talking millions of dollars going up and down in an hour.
And the smoking is that stress relief.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean everyone's balls get sweaty when yeah.
So have you actually learned from like him personally, or have you just watched him trade through a
Yeah,
community
personally,
or
he's part of Wallstreetbets.
right.
He's I'd say he's a big player. He's kind of like the de facto leader. He doesn't manage day to day stuff, right? But at the end of the day, he's kind of like the the supreme patriarch. Where if he says X, where we're doing X. If he says Y, we're doing Y. I mean, he doesn't tell us what not to do, but he does have like veto power, and if he decides we're going to this heading, we'll go to that heading.
Right.
So it's kind of he sort of became the de facto leader because he was such a good trader, because he often is right. That's like a saying: never bet against the banks and never bet against Lakai.
Okay. So where did he learn to trade? Do you know?
So when he started trading, I think it was a little bit before me, maybe like a year before the financial crisis, or during earlier in that year, and
Okay.
he almost tapped his account. I think he started with about 10 grand, almost tapped it like down to like 2K, and then
Wow.
he just like busted his ass. Like he would just trade. He'd wake up and he trade until he went to sleep.
Right. So he put the time in.
Yeah, yeah, that's another thing. No one wants to put the time in.
Yeah.
I have
I
students,
see
I
that a
tell them,
lot.
put the time in. I have chicks that come up to me, they're like, I want to learn how to trade. Okay, I tell them to put the time in. Do they do it? No, no one ever does it,
No.
right? So I maybe a little bit jaded when it comes to actually teaching people. It's hard to actually find anyone who's ready to do what it takes. They just typically
Yeah.
they waste my time.
The talk is easy, right?
The talk is easy.
Yeah. Or they'll do the things that like you'll tell them to do something, but then they'll go and do something else that is like quote unquote fun, or it's easier for them to do because it's in their comfort zone.
Right. They want that quick win,
Yeah.
like okay, if you want to moonshot crypto, moonshot crypto is not trading. Can you make a
Yeah.
lot of money moonshotting crypto? Sure, right? I don't need to teach you how to moonshot crypto. Just randomly throw money at coins, right?
Yeah.
That's not day trading. That's not slugging contracts on the ES. Okay, that's just moonshotting crypto.
Yeah.
So if you want to like if you want to learn how to actually trade, it's work, it's time, and it's effort. And I have yet to find, even though I've always offered for free to teach people, never have I ever found someone who's willing to do what it takes uh, to put in that time.
Really.
Yep.
Wow. I've had people do it for a week, and then they inevitably stop.
It's because they're just too weak. Not trying to be rude, but that's just it. They're too. There's a one of my favorite movies is Conan the Barbarian,
Hmm.
and in it there's like this is what's called the riddle of steel. And in the beginning of the movie, his father's like, steel is the strongest thing, right? You cannot trust men, you can't trust women, you can't trust beasts, but steel will never let you down.
Hmm.
As the movie goes, steel does let him down, right? And then he meets like the bad guy, and he's like, it's not steel, it's flesh. Flesh is stronger. And he shows Conan how he controls people with his persuasion, right? With his charisma, right?
Mm.
The power of flesh to make buildings, to create cults and all that. But even that fails Thulsa Doom. And so in the end, he realizes that the true answer is willpower, right? If you have enough will, if there's enough will, there's a way. And
Mm.
that's really what it is, that people are just too weak-willed to stick through it and decide that this is what they want to do, and they will do it till it's done. That's what made Lakai who he is today. He said, I'm going to do this until I get it.
Mm. And do you
And he
think
did.
that that's because life is too easy nowadays compared to however long ago? And
It's got
people,
to be a mix. I think if life is too hard, like it can break you and it'll make you too risk averse and too
mm.
afraid, right? If it's too easy, you just don't put in the effort. So it's just got to be like the right amount of, it's got to be the right amount.
And do you think people need to put that on themselves? Like, if let's say you've got a comfortable life, do you think these people need to go out and do difficult things?
No,
No.
I mean, if you're not cut out for it, just like get a job, and there's nothing wrong with
Mm.
that. There is nothing at all wrong with working any sort of job. It doesn't matter if you're a janitor or if you're flipping burgers. Every job is noble. Every job is part of our society and useful. I feel like what I do is less than someone flipping burgers, right? I'm just
Mm.
right.
I see what you
They
mean. I
Yeah,
see what you mean.
so there's nothing shameful about having a job and not being strong enough to trade the markets or play like these political games that's going on in the world around us. There's nothing wrong. You don't have to achieve those stars to be happy, right? You don't have to
Mm.
be rubbing shoulders with Rothschilds and Goldman Sachs to have meaning in life, right?
Yeah.
You can get it around you, and that's not to like as a message that everyone bows and behaves to their masters. It is a factual truth. There are people with millions who kill themselves,
Yeah.
right? So there's nothing wrong with a job. Try to find something that you're happy doing. Sometimes I've thought about just working in a coffee shop. I mean,
Mm.
the smell of coffee, like
Get to interact
uh,
with people every day.
interact with
Yeah.
people. Maybe like one of those combo coffee shop
Yeah.
bookstores. Like it'd be so chill.
Yeah.
It's
Get
fun.
some
And if you
jazz music in the background.
exactly
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's pretty pimp.
Yeah.
It's like retirement. You know.
Yeah, I see what you mean though. Yeah. It does sound quite good actually.
This is stressful. What I do. I just
Yeah.
feel compelled to do it out of a stupid sense of duty or something. It's dumb.
So what's your kind of average day looking like then? Is it mostly trading or is it mostly moderating kind of Wall Street bets and doing that kind
Nowadays,
of
I'll devote a little bit amount of time to managing positions. I've been devoting a lot of time into like the current crypto and NFT projects that we got going,
right?
and then I'll devote some time to like seeing how everyone's doing, like see how the other moderators doing. Are there issues? Do I need to like because sometimes there's drama, sometimes there's politics, sometimes there's whatever,
Right.
and I need to make sure that we're all kind of one big happy family working together. You know, I mean, we don't have to all like each other, but we have to, not be at each other's throats, right?
Mm.
Because what had happened once Wall Street Bets got big, this guy called Jartek came back. And I don't know if he was like the original founder, and he tried to like sell out
Mm.
all the user base. So what do we do? Well, me and a few other people deposed him. Sorry. Well,
Right.
we disposed of him and deposed him, and that takes it takes like a finesse to do something like that because he's technically higher on the totem pole on Reddit, and if you know how Reddit works, that means he technically has the power.
Right.
After he went, guess what? Another group of people came. They tried to do the same shit. So what do? We got rid of them. I mean, it is just constant like political. Once something gets big, everyone wants like a piece of the pie, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, hell, let me make some money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but now we've gotten this situation where everyone is using our IP, our name to scam users. So now it's kind of like, in order for us to establish a certain amount of legitimacy, we kind of have to just stop this insanity, like 500 companies with Wall Street Bet like logos or Wall
Mm.
Street Bet like images rug pulling their users. You see their Discord icon, they just keep changing their Discord icon and name, right? It's like they just keep scamming people over and over and over again, right? So hopefully we can offer some sort of more sustainable, legitimate solution that the
Yeah.
users can have fun with. We'll just like, I don't know, just something, just anything, and then we can maybe places like Instagram will start enforcing our actual IP, like because we'll come at them with
Yeah.
copyright, like, hey, they're using our copyrighted IP. Can you take that down? Nothing. Nothing. Here's our
Right.
copyright number. Can you take that down? Nothing. While they're scamming hundreds of thousands of users. And so if they won't do anything, the ball's kind of in our court, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the good things about blockchain, right? That if you were to, I mean, I'm not like a master of blockchain, but I imagine it's some thing where it can be legitimate and, you can go on and see that it is the real one, and you can tell the difference somehow.
Well, hypothetically, at the moment, currently I think OpenSea is having some issues with counterfeit NFTs
Oh,
because the
really?
joke is like you just take someone's NFT,
Yeah.
right click save as and
Yeah.
repost it, Like thanks for the NFT.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, you could even just screenshot it, right? You don't even need to save it.
right, yeah, I usually just control Windows key Shift S when I'm stealing my NFTs.
So,
So
yeah, do you create NFTs then, or do you just buy and sell?
so I was working on an NFT, but kind of got more involved in this project.
Okay.
I have my own NFT project that I'm not sure how far I will progress on that. It's kind of like I'm trying to get more involved in the industry. I
Mm.
definitely have a lot of experience when it comes to hyping up something or
Right,
organically
right.
growing stuff, right? And I definitely have some background in marketing and persuasional psychology. I,
Mm.
I'm good at it, but I just have to get into the industry some way, and that's kind of what I'm doing now. And I think when we come out with these projects, um, that will really like help me with that.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, are these projects like I know you probably can't say too much, but is it um is it like a website, an application, or is it another community? Like,
So it's going to be Wall Street Bets community. I think there will
okay,
be at the moment like perhaps some utility websites that can interact with it.
okay,
Um, but mainly it's just going to be like for fun stuff. The
okay.
NFT is just going to be like a for fun thing, just kind of like how you know um, whatever, like how people have. I don't know. I'd say most NFTs are really just for fun at the moment, like the
Yeah,
the Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? That's just for fun, really.
yeah.
Now you can hypothetically, if you're trying to save money on your taxes, right, use the NFTs as an art and then have it appraised at values greater than you purchased it for, and then use that to donate to write off taxes. So you can do stuff like that, but for the most people, I think NFTs are just like bragging rights.
Right, right. Yeah.
And then the coin will be sort of a utility based, yeah, something utility, so that people can like I don't know do fun stuff like play games and whatever.
Mm,
Um, and then it will. That's just kind of like the alpha release, and um, there's a lot of exciting sort of mechanics that I'm trying to introduce in order to pave the way for real crypto legitimization and
mm.
NFT legitimization. And some people are going to be kicking and screaming when I'm trying to drag them to that, because again, a lot of Wall Street bet crowd are just about making money, and I respect that. uh, I'm like one of the people who has like a naive vision of the future. I make myself cringe about it just talking about it. It's but
Mm.
I do honestly believe it.
Okay. And I just had a question in my head and I've forgotten it. I can't remember it. There was something related to what you were just talking about, and I've completely forgot. So where do you see the kind of world within the next, I don't know, 2 to 3 years? What's your viewpoint? What's going to be big? What's maybe going to disappear?
Are we talking what specific space are we talking about?
Um, I guess just anything that's kind of tech. Because
Mm.
obviously, I think
Okay,
okay. Let me
the
let me.
metaverse is going to be bigger than people realize.
I was
I,
just
a lot
about
of
to
people,
say,
a lot of
Facebook
people
is,
think Facebook had his thing.
yeah.
Do not, do not get cucked by the Zuck. Zuck has power beyond your fucking imagination. Like, I know he's goofy. Maybe he's a lizard. Maybe he's a robot. You do not, most people cannot fucking comprehend how smart he is. Okay.
Yeah,
And how much power and influence he has. He doesn't win every battle. No one's going to win every battle. Okay. But don't underestimate the Zuck or you'll get the cuck. All
yeah,
right. Metaverse is going to be part of what we have here. It's going to be synonymous as big as crypto is on people's lips today. It is. People just don't. Again, people just don't realize it. The difference is between NFTs and metaverse is Zuck is backing metaverse. Big,
yes.
large power groups are backing metaverse. They're not backing NFTs at the moment.
Microsoft was getting into metaverse, isn't it? I saw.
It is going to be. It is going to be big. So I would
Hmm.
say Facebook's at a discount. Not financial
Okay.
advice.
Obviously.
Not investment or financial advice. That's just my
Yeah.
personal opinion.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw that Facebook had that huge um, kind of drop in price, the massive gap. Um,
Yeah, that's because people, for some reason, having a third of the world on your platform isn't good enough. For
yeah.
some reason, having the next big thing that every large power group and company is backing isn't good enough, right? Whatever. I mean, people, you can't really shit on people when they make emotional trades, and
Hmm.
sell or whatever. I mean, doesn't matter. Um, I'll put it to you like this. Lakai thinks metaverse is going to be big. That's all you need to know.
Hmm. Okay. I mean, I think we should definitely do this in a few months again, and we can talk about the launch. I don't know when's Wall Street Bets thinking about launching its NFT thing.
Not sure.
Okay, well, whenever that is, I think we should get on to another podcast because I know that it's coming up to the hour mark soon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's gone very, very quickly.
And
Um,
by then we'll probably have the coin launched as well.
yeah, yeah, I think
And
we should
again,
definitely do it again.
if anyone listens, we're not fucking selling you out. It's gonna be, promise you, literally cannot go tits up. These are not box spreads, guarantee you.
Okay, cool. I mean, I've really enjoyed the chat, to be honest with you. I
Yeah,
think we
same.
should definitely do it again. Thank you for coming on. I know it was kind of weird. I haven't done a podcast in quite a long time, but I think this is a very, very good one to kick it back off.
Yeah,
Um,
I always love talking to people. It's my favorite thing. That's what I want my job to be. Ironically,
okay,
because I used to not be a people person. I thought I was going to be in a lab, just by myself in a lab with my science, and
yeah.
here I am
Actually,
talking to people.
don't know how much time you've got, but like, how did you get out of, going from that mindset to where you currently are? Because I imagine if you said
Oh,
to yourself,
oof.
you know,
Yeah. I'll
this
try
is
to
where
be
you're going to be.
succinct. I'll try to be succinct. Let's put it
Okay.
this way. Because of the current political grant funding situation between like scientists today, scientists back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, good people. Scientists today, it's about getting grants, which means it's about kissing ass, right?
Right.
It's how well you can smooth, how well you can whatever please people. And so it's all about getting money, and what they're paying scientists, like people with decades of research from tier one universities with publications in Nature Science, it's pennies on the dollar. Like,
Right.
was it Nature did a publication back in like 2000, maybe 2009 or something, where they said that someone who worked at McDonald's starting at 18 will make more in their lifetime than the average PhD, like
Wow.
someone in the life sciences PhD,
Wow.
right? Because most of them get the PhD, they drop out. We're just talking about two people in their lifetime. Johnny goes into McDonald's and he stays at working at McDonald's. Sally goes into science and genetics. Sally's, you know, she's gonna make less. It's weird,
That
and
is
it was
weird.
and I was just like, wow, this sucks. My boss came in, he said, I want you to work, what was it, 12 hours a day. And I said, okay, pay me 50% more and I'll work 12 hours a day. And he said no. And I said, you'll suck my nuts. You
No, you
know,
didn't.
I actually fucking did. I was not going to put up with that shit. Like, I'm
That's
not
so
slave labor. I,
that's so
I,
cool.
I do not believe in slave labor, right? It is horse shit. So
I
no, I'm not
love
going
that.
to do that.
I love that.
And the market crashed. So as soon as like my thing was ended, I quit, or I didn't, I guess, pursue. And then
Yeah.
I went to go look for another lab, a more respectable lab. And then the market crashed. Nobody had funding because that's one of the first things that got cut was scientific funding.
Right.
All grants were halted, so no one could take me in. So then it's like, I got a job like teaching organic chem, and like the markets were like BAC hit $5, right? Bank of America. And I was like, there's no way Bank of America is going to delist. It's fucking Bank of America, right? Are you guys fucking? I mean, no, it's not going to happen. So I bought Bank of America. Of course, it went up like threefold, like in no time. It's Bank of fucking America. It's got America in the name. You know it's good. So that's what got me addicted, and
Okay.
j- just low pay, crappy hours.